what's happening now that men are struggling? It's a very interesting question. So the first thing that comes to my mind when I think about men struggling is war. And every time I see or hear about war in other places, I think about who is winning, who is behind all the war. And some people might say that there's no winning in war, nobody wins. But if it was the case, then there would be no war. Somebody is benefiting from that war. Now, by the same token, I think about the cultural wars, specifically feminism and the red pill community. Who is behind feminism and who is really benefiting from feminism? We have to think about that, because it's not women as much as we want to argue, or the feminist movement wants to argue that they're benefiting from it. They're actually not. And we can talk about the studies that say that women are more unhappy now than they were before. And on the other side, the men are definitely not benefiting from this. Definitely not. So who is? I don't know. I don't have the answer to that. But in the meantime, what we can do is see a little history of how men were and where they are now, where we are now, and what things we can do to come out of that feeling of uselessness. Think about the 1500s. By the time of the Inquisition, men were divided in three categories per se. One was the prayers, one was the workers, and the other one was the fighters. Prayers obviously were the religious ones. If you're not a religious, then you are a worker. You're in the field working, planting and all that sort of things. And the other ones were the warriors, the fighters. You go to war, you fight for us. Now, those three categories of men had to show dominance in order to be considered masculine in society back then. Whether it was for women or whether it was for society in general, you had to show dominance in all cases. Now let's fast forward a couple of 100 years, and it's the 1800s, early 1800s probably. Nothing much changed. Now we had the guns and we had duels with guns. You know, I'm sure you've seen the Hamilton show on Broadway, where Hamilton was in a duel with Burr and Burr killed him. Just like that. According to history, well, each one had a gun and you give each other the back and you took 10 steps, turn, and hopefully you survived that. That's what men did. Fast forward 100 and change years, and the Industrial Revolution came along. Now men didn't have to be out there. Now they didn't work to create something. Now they work for money. You know, there was nothing to plant out there. They didn't have to work the land. Well, some of them did, but I'm generalizing, obviously. Now what they did was work for money. They mass produced things to make money or to earn money to bring home. Besides that, not much change. Man is man, woman is woman, etc., etc. The time came and the 60s started, and women started complaining about things, so the feminist revolution started, or movement, I should say. With that, life started getting a little easier in all ways. We have fridge, we have TVs, we have a lot of things that make our lives pretty comfortable. Now imagine that in that process, as life started getting comfortable, there was less need for a man to be dominant. We fast forward a little bit to the late 80s, early 90s. Something came along called the internet. Now, I want you to take a moment and think about this. Imagine that as it was already, there was very little need for men to be dominant. Now the internet came along, and you are a child of the late 80s, early 90s and things. You're this little child that started seeing the internet, and you all of a sudden you have all the information of the world in the palm of your hands. Now, you say, you're a little kid, you don't know the difference between your head and your ass. And you're asking yourself, what is all this? All of a sudden you know everything. You can see porn alone in your bedroom and nobody will know. All of a sudden, you have information about all kinds of things. And on top of that, everybody all of a sudden has an opinion. So you, in your little mind, you try to discern, you try to understand the different opinions. And some people say eat meat, and some people say don't eat meat, that's bad, eat grass. And then you say, I don't know which one is real, which one is true. I don't know if I should believe this or that. Some people say it's bad to be a man. Some people say it's good to be a man. You should be a man. Imagine growing up like that. The adults in that time, they have enough knowledge to guide you through the internet process. And you in your little mind knew less, obviously. And you didn't know how to move or travel through the internet situation and to make sense of everything that was happening in the world. So life became way more comfortable now, because everything that we needed, we could find it. Every question we had, we could find it online. So now, imagine if men started getting less important since the early 60s or 50s or something. Imagine now that women didn't need men to go out there and do anything for them, and they didn't have to fight for anything or pray or work hard for whatever. Imagine now, on top of that stuff, feminism came along telling boys back then that they're no good, that they're worthless and nobody needs them and things. If we put all those things together and all those things in perspective, we see now how the now adults and the younger adults too feel as if there's no point on living this life because we're not needed. The problem is that we are needed. As much as the feminist movement wants to tell you otherwise, we are needed. Because we are still the ones that do the hard work. As much as they want to say it, we don't. So why are we struggling? We're struggling because it seems as if we are not needed. See, after the Second World War, there was a similar issue. And the issue was that men couldn't find their way because everything was around the war in the 40s, early 40s, and everything was war. So all the focus was into fighting, I either have to fight or had to build something, and we went to war, and then women stayed behind trying to put things together for us to fight in the war. Now, the war passed, and then men started feeling useless. There's no difference now. Men are feeling useless. But I'm here to tell you that you're not useless. You have a lot to give. The only thing we need to do is find out what is that thing that we need to give. We have to give. It is said a lot that, we have to find our passion and we have to do the things that we love, so you don't have to work a day in your life. Yes and no. A lot of people can go through life, in this case men, because I want to focus on men. We can go through life not knowing what we are passionate about. The other part of all this equation is that since we feel useless and we think that society doesn't want us for anything, we start holding in that anger because we know inside that we have to do something. We need to do something. We need to move. We need to jump. We need to yell. We need to fight. We need all those things, but we're not allowed to do that. It's frowned upon to do those things. Hence, all the violence that we see around that is happening. Can that be fixed? To a point, yeah. And that's why I'm making this video, because I think that if we take responsibility of the things that are happening, I think that we definitely can not just help us individually, but help the community as a unit. We can do that. I understand very clearly that a lot of those things happen in mostly in big cities around the world. And, in first world countries mostly. Why? Because life is too easy, and because life is too easy, people have too much time to create nonsense. The feminist movement and all the genders and all that stuff happens in countries, in first world countries mostly because people have everything too easy and they have nothing else to do in life, so they have to create something with their time. The issue is that creates problem with a lot of other people. So what can we do as men? The first thing that I think we need to do is accountability. We need to be responsible for the things we do. Absolute responsibility for your steps. Absolute responsibility for the things that you do. If you're gonna stick it to a woman, make sure you wear a condom or two. I don't want to hear a man saying, yeah, that's not my kid, and she's putting that kid on me and stuff. If you weren't near that woman, there was no chance for her to say that. A lot of the responsibility of the things that are happening right now, if not most of it, is our responsibility. It's your responsibility that women are now like that in OnlyFans. Why? Because we are the one that are paying for it. Maybe one or two women pay to see women online, but most of it is men that don't feel strong enough to want to talk to a woman, so they think the best thing to do is to be online and to see a naked woman and to pay money to see that, when they can actually see porn. But what do I know? If we stop doing that and we change the focus on talking to our friends and talking to the other men and looking for support amongst men, we'll come out of that. And that's why I'm making this video. That's why I'm starting this, because I think it's time for us to take responsibility for that. If a woman shows her ass in Instagram, don't say anything to her. Just don't. Why? Because we men are doing that for attention. And if you give them attention, then they're gonna think they're all of that. If they think they're all of that, then you're the one that's gonna end up suffering. You. So take a step back. Don't be so desperate to show attention. Because remember, as you are showing attention, so is another 1,000, 2,000, 10,000 men. So they're gonna feel, women, that they have options. Yes? So my call to you is, if you see those pictures on Instagram, look at them. You don't have to send DMs. You don't have to comment. You don't have to do anything like that. Look at the ass and keep going. Why? Because the more we stop doing that, they are gonna stop. They're already saying there's no men. Yeah, there's plenty of men. You know, they continue to pick the same type of men, but there's plenty of men. But how can we change that? We can change that by taking the attention away from that. We can suffocate the situation. You know, there was this experiment in, I don't know where it was, I don't remember right now, but there was the experiment where they had 3 bowls of rice. One, they gave it a lot of attention. One, they yelled at the rice. And I'm lying, it was 3 plants. One plant had the water and all the attention and, you know, nice kind words. The other one was, you know, just bad words and yelling and you're stupid and all that stuff. And one they ignored. Which one do you think died first? Exactly, the one that was ignored. Because even the one that you were giving the negative energy, I don't like to use that term, but for lack of a better term, we're gonna say bad energy was energy too. I'm saying that to say that if we want the feminist movement, that all the nonsense that is happening with that stuff to stop, we need to stop giving it energy. We need to stop commenting on it. We need to stop saying they need to do this and they just suffocate that. Don't comment, just pass it by, and you see that it will die. It will absolutely go away if we just ignore it. But I understand why it's happening. It's like yeah, men war, you know, men are this and men are all that, and so now the pendulum went all the way to the other side. Okay, compensating for this. So now we gotta find a way to bring the balance, so we can make sense of things better. And yes, we understand, you know, men are not women, women are not men, but yet we also understand somebody is benefiting from feminizing men and from the masculinization of women. Somebody is benefiting from that. Who's benefiting? I don't know yet. I don't know, but I'm gonna find out. And I'm gonna come back and tell you. Okay? This is it for me for now. First video of many. I'm gonna leave it at that. Like, subscribe, share it with your friends, and let's start this. Let's do something with this. Okay? I see you on the next video. Bye.